Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Wieland. I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta for the last 26 years. They are available in all of the real estate brokerage firms and most chambers. And also the First Multiple Listing Service has them on their website for all the realtors to look at. They're also on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com. We email them out to over 10,000 people every week. And basically, we have 5 publications, one for the Atlanta metro area, one for North Fulton and South Forsyth, in partnership with the North Fulton Chamber, one for Gwinnett in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, one for Cobb County in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors, and one for Inside 285. They are on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com. I am a realtor with KW Commercial, and my website is louwieland.com, Wieland.com. And we're happy to help you with any of your real estate needs as well for commercial and investment property. And we're talking today to a friend, somebody that's been very helpful to me lately. A couple of deals I've been working on, James McCoy, president of the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. James, thank you for coming on the show today, and it's good to get to know you better and learn a lot more about Forsyth County. And there's a lot of troubling times right now, but we're counting on people like yourself to help a great deal in these difficult times, and there are times to come to recover. You have 1,000 members of the chamber, and you're close to heaven, I guess, in terms of geography up there. It doesn't get any better with the mountains and the lake. And basically, I wish you would just give people maybe a minute or two definition of the chamber and some of your functions.
Sure, absolutely. Lou, thank you for having me on the show and on the call. I appreciate it more than I can tell you, especially given all of the circumstances that we're all dealing with and enduring. And I hope folks are staying safe and healthy and well. So our chamber, every chamber in not just Metro Atlanta, but every chamber in the country is a little different. There's a sort of a joke among chamber executives around the country that if you know one chamber, you know one chamber. So we primarily are an economic development entity. While some chambers focus on advocacy and government affairs work, our primary focus is economic development. We serve as the sole economic development entity for the community. We house the partnership between the Development Authority, the chamber, the school system, the county, and our higher education institutions. We also, are a membership organization and are very focused on supporting local businesses and their growth and development in the community. And that is the primary driver of the organization. We also, and this is fairly unique within Metro Atlanta, we are also the CVB for the community, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we also do tourism. Michelle Daniels on our staff does a remarkable job of that. And we have a great strategy and focus in a particular niche market in that area. But that is the short summary of who the Forsyth County Chamber is.
James, wanted to just ask you, how do you see the chamber being even especially more helpful as we begin our recovery from the COVID-19 issues?
Well, I think for chambers across the country are overall very engaged in supporting local businesses in surviving this time of restrictions for business operations, and really supporting businesses and what they're going to do as those restrictions begin to lighten up and people get back to business. Our chamber, in fact, was the very first business organization in the state to have dedicated resources. We went live with a dedicated website on March 17th that was really focused on, and I think the most important thing that we're doing right now, and chambers across the country, is really focusing on how to help businesses have the working capital to survive this time of restriction and then survive as those restrictions lighten. But I think we're all safely assuming that business will not be the same, particularly in retail and hospitality and restaurants, for quite some time. And so we've done that through helping businesses get SBA loans. We've done that through and working through the mire that unfortunately has become. Working with local banks to help them work through the mire and connect with people who in the community that need the SBA loans, and working with the community. This is the first time that we really have deeply engaged the residential community. I mean, we of course are focused on the businesses, but engaging the residential community in doing business with local businesses. And so a great example of that, we just rolled out and got some great both regional and national media attention. We rolled out a big, it's called carry out bingo, where we had a number of restaurants, and there were some cash prizes and gift card prizes that were part of that. We had something like 4,500 people throughout the community at one time playing the game, and we'll continue to play in through the 30th. So we're very proud of that. And we have a number of other initiatives. That one seemed to grab some media attention, and we're glad that it did.
James, you graduated from Wake Forest with a Bachelor of Science degree, and you've been chief. You also have an MBA from the University of North Georgia, and you've been a chief executive officer of the Forsyth Chamber since 2005. Quite a while. So that's. Is this your biggest challenge, most challenging time, and since 2005, would you say, or how would you?
You know, that is the only thing that I have to compare it to really is the Great Recession, 2007, 8, and beyond, I think they have both been extremely difficult, but in vastly different ways. And so I think from our ability as an organization to respond to something, to take the lead in the community of engaging residents and businesses quickly. In my view, this has actually been easier than the Great Recession, and largely because the recession was so deeply felt, across the board. There was no escaping its reach, and this, we're talking to plenty of businesses right now who, they're busier than they've ever been. In the Great Recession, no one was hiring. Well, there's a lot of displaced employees, but we're also working with a lot of people who are struggling to find enough people to hire, who are hiring as many people as they can. So really, both as a community and as an organization, it's challenging, but it is not, I think, as devastating and far-reaching in the economy as the Great Recession was, and also, I've got some more years and time under my belt, and know better how to respond and work in an organization like this in a community. So that isn't to say it's easy. It's not, and I know it's really hard on a lot of folks. But I also think this is going to be much more short-lived than what we've experienced in the past.
James, in 2015, the median price of a single-family detached home in Forsyth County was $300,000. In March of this year, the median price is $370,000, which represents a 23% gain in the price in 5 years, which is pretty substantial. To what do you attribute that extraordinary gain in just 5 years?
I think overall it's just basic economics 101. What's sort of jokingly said, although it's absolutely true, people choose from an economic standpoint, people choose Forsyth County and companies choose Forsyth County because they're maximizing their utility. The reality is you get a world-class, from a residential standpoint, people can get a world-class education, one of the best school systems, not just in Georgia, but in the country, that are public schools. From an economic opportunity standpoint, not just Forsyth County, but the whole corridor houses some of the greatest employers in Metro Atlanta and around the country. In addition to that, as you mentioned in the introduction, we have some incredible environmental assets like both the mountains and the lake. We've made some great investments in things that enhance everybody's quality of life. We have a phenomenal park and rec system with a nationally award-winning greenway. And we have consistently made very thoughtful investments in all of our infrastructure, certainly our schools, but also transportation infrastructure. We just not all that long ago finished up a very big widening project on Georgia 400. We're getting the toll lanes that will be coming into Forsyth County, express lanes in the not so distant future. So all of that is to say that we're folks make the choice to come to Forsyth County because there's a lot of there, and really the supply it is difficult in terms of housing supply to keep up with that level of demand, and that is part of the driver of price as well.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, James, but actually I do, but I would rather not say that I am. But what can the chamber do to help speed up the economic recovery? Do you have any specific tactics that you're thinking of or working on at this stage?
Yeah, sure. So for us, and it has been and will continue to be, we view this, and I think strategically it's the wise move. We view this as if businesses can survive, 90 to 120 days, that after that period of time, things become much easier. So our focus has been how do we employ all of the resources that the community has at its disposal to get companies working capital to survive that difficult time. And so we're hitting all of those cylinders in terms of what are the private resources, meaning individual investors or institutional investors that folks can be reaching out to. What kind of flexibility do people have with their banks? I mean, most people, I think, have overlooked. Banks are really have a lot of flexibility right now in deferral of loan payments, of extending lines of credit with incredibly low interest rates, and so encouraging folks to do that. Encouraging people to continue to pursue the SBA loans. The Senate just passed today the next round of funding for that loan and grant program. We're encouraging folks to continue to do that. We also are really working to make sure that while the restrictions in place, that we are doing everything we can to engage residents in doing business locally for not just restaurants, but for every aspect of the needs of their life. We're also working really hard with experts across the country, but certainly in Metro Atlanta, to help business folks really work through their strategy right now. We were hosting, I think, on tomorrow, in fact, we've got a number of folks who are building owners on showing folks how to talk to their building owners about renegotiating temporarily some changes to their lease. Most building owners would rather have a little forgiveness for a short period of time during this time than to lose a tenant. And so, but a lot of tenants are extremely nervous and concerned about how to talk to their building owners about that. So those are some examples of things that we're actively doing to try to engage the business community. All of these are being provided free of charge and will be provided on we have a library on our Together for FOCO economic recovery site as well. No, our focus right now and for the foreseeable future is the overall economic health of the community. Anyone can participate, and they don't even have to be in Forsyth County. In fact, what we found is that there, not just throughout Georgia, but really around the country, a number of our programs have engaged. We've engaged businesses and communities all over the state. We just hosted about a month ago an online class was one of our very first ones, and we had 22 communities from around Georgia represented on that call. So we're very much we're in this together, and welcome people to come and join and take and participate in that. Certainly, we hope people will join. We're going to ask people to join, but it is not a requirement of participation at all.
What would you suggest to people to have an expedited entree to some of those services? Is there an email address, or should you just go on the website, or how would you?
Yeah, there's several ways. Probably the fastest way to do that is to hop on togetherforfoco.com. We have a calendar listing of all of those on there. There's also a very 3-question form to fill out to get added to the mailing list. And we also have a Together for FOCO Facebook group that is free and open to everybody to join. It's a private group, but we very quickly welcome people to that group and let them in, and so we facilitate that group, and that's where we post all of our updates, all of our information, and that's probably the fastest and easiest way of getting engaged. But you can also do that through the chamber website or through the Forward Forsyth website as well.
Excellent. So, moving forward and kind of down the road a ways, what are some of the other objectives that you're kind of prioritizing going forward, James?
Sure. Well, in every suburban community in the country struggles with balancing their tax digest, making sure that there's a healthy amount of non-residential investment in the community through the form of employers, and we facilitated a year-long and very comprehensive economic development plan development. We worked with a firm out of Austin, Texas called TIP Strategies. The county has now adopted that plan as their official economic development plan, and we are a couple of years into implementation of that plan. The long-term, the basic goals are how do we increase the commercial investment in this community? How do we increase the number of high-quality, high-paying jobs? And there's a very focused strategy around target industries that are a strength for Forsyth County and an opportunity for us to move the ball forward, primarily focused around technology, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, blockchain technology, fintech are some of the focus areas for us. But really, the overarching strategy is how do we grow the economy in a way that enhances the non-residential, the business portion of the tax digest.
So, James, you were kind enough to help me the other day with a client and working with the Board of Commissioners and the zoning department specifically. Tell us a little bit about the functioning process of the zoning board and what do you see? Because some cities are growing too fast. I know. I think down on the south side, Henry County has stopped all construction, I believe. What are you doing with their zoning, and what is your policy with regard to zoning changes and requests for changes?
So, as an organization, and I want to make clear this is not the county's policy. It is the chamber and our chamber's overarching policy. We have made some minor exceptions to this, which I'll note in a moment. But primarily, our focus and the work that we do in being an advocate for business is. We really exclusively work on projects that are overwhelmingly commercial or make a large commercial business investment in the community. So the project that you and I are working on is a commercial project, and that is certainly well within the wheelhouse of the organization and something that we're going to get involved in. We do not. Largely because there are plenty of other organizations out there who do that kind of advocacy work for the residential market. We also have a really high demand for residential, and so there's not a lot of need for us to be engaged with that market. But there's not really a lot of the same level of demand or interest on the commercial side. So as is true in every community really across Georgia and across the country. So we compared to residential. So that's where we spend our time and our energy. From a county standpoint, I think the county has made some great investments in being very pro-business, very business friendly, and have put staff in place whom I have a great deal of respect for, who know how to help business folks through the process, every step of the process, whether that's the rezoning process, whether that is permits and inspections, or whether that is working on an economic development project and getting resource investment that may make the project work. So the county has done very, very well in making economic development a high priority and business a high priority, and my hat's off to them. They've done a great job, particularly over the last 4 to 5 years.
James, you mentioned the other day when we were talking on the phone with the chairman of the Board of Commissioners that you have an overlay of some kind that will help people just to get a feel for the potential direction of growth you have planned. Could you help people to understand that a little bit better?
So there are several overlay districts in zoning in Forsyth County. The one that we were talking about, it's a particular part of the county, but there are many throughout the county, or several throughout the county, I should say. One of the struggles, and we're not unique in this regard, but struggles that communities that are high growth have is how do you balance the growth with maintaining the integrity of the character of the very thing that people are drawn to. You don't want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. And one of the many strategies in place and tools in place to be able to do that are overlay districts that help the commercial investors and residential investors as well, but the commercial community, particularly retail and restaurants and hospitality, to know what the design standards are, to know what signs need to look like and what height they need to be and how far away from the road they need to be. All of that in a way to maintain the overall economic health and well-being and the overall character integrity of the community. And I think overall Forsyth County has done a very, very nice job of that over the years, and that continues to improve.
So I know you've broken down into the commercial market into various different segments. I wondered if you might just address those segments that you've isolated and describe the goals, or just briefly describe the goals in each of those market segments.
Sure. So around, for example, fintech, we already have a really nice foothold with some marquee names of fintech companies that are currently located in our community. And a focus for us is how to continue to grow that segment. And so we have not set any specific goal to say, all right, fintech, we want to see that segment of that industry segment grow by 30 companies or a certain capital investment. We have not done that, and we're not going to do that. But what we have done is to say that segment's very important to us, and we're going to engage that segment throughout the country and in a metro Atlanta. And it is everything from participating in focused trade shows and trade associations to actually working with existing startups and entrepreneurs in our community right now. Our community is home to Digital Ignition, which is located in the very south part of the county. It is a private incubator that has already generated some great fintech startups, and we actually have office space for our senior manager of technology development, project development, Scott Evans, actually has office space there, and we work with those companies regularly on how to grow. So that's just one example. Others, include international business development, healthcare. We have a broad and very fast-growing healthcare community. And so an example of something that we're doing with that community is we house the Healthcare Association of Forsyth County within the chamber. And overall, the goals have been focused on how do we improve and grow the healthcare sector of the community, and that means everything from actual service to medical devices. And we've had some great success with that, particularly in the medical device arena. But Forsyth County is also home to Northside Hospital Forsyth, which is any community in the country I think would give anything to have that kind of quality of a facility and a facility that's so focused on growth and service. We're very, very fortunate to have them, and they drive an awful lot of that part of our economy.
James, it's been fantastic to have you on the show, and I wondered if you would just take a minute and give listeners a word of encouragement about economic recovery.
Well, I think that there is opportunity in absolutely everything, and it's a matter of, and it is a choice. And the conversations that I've been having with entrepreneurs and business owners that are having a very, very tough time right now, what I simply ask them to do is to get up each morning and make a choice to find the opportunity in this. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that have, and that isn't to say they're not having a difficult time, but that difficult time will make you better. It certainly did our organization. The Great Recession made us better. It made me better as a chamber leader. And there is opportunity in this. And the great thing about capitalism is it rewards those who are thoughtful and creative and see the opportunity and make a choice too. So I just encourage folks to really, when you wake up in the morning, decide that you're making a choice of seeing the opportunity in that day.
Great to have you on the show, James, and I appreciate
Thank you.
those words of encouragement and a better understanding your mission up there, and really an exciting place to live at this time. Thank you very much for listening, and have a nice day.
Thank you.